G'day everyone, Daniel Watson here again with another podcast. Today we have a guest on the show, Jordan, an old friend of mine from Oregon. He recently finished sociology, was it?
Yeah, I got my major in sociology.
Yeah, sociology at the Oregon State University. He lives in Albany, Oregon. The school is Corvallis, if I'm saying that right.
That's correct.
Yeah, and he wanted to come on the show today and talk about firsthand what he's actually seen while he's been in college. So, um, jumping forward a little bit, I noticed that you've taken the proverbial red pill after being in college. So I just wanted you to talk us through exactly what you saw and did while you were taking that course.
Well, it's very simple. I I started this journey of, you know, majoring in sociology because there was nothing else to really major in at my community college. So I eventually just went from my community college to the major university. But difference is that it was a lot more specialized and to the point it was more specialized to the point where some things were starting to stand out as red flags. And I didn't notice it until September, unfortunately. It was already too late. It was my last year before graduating, so I couldn't really change my major at the time. At least my advisor told me not to, so I had to continue forward. And it wasn't until April of this year when I took the red pill, as you said, and dove headfirst into the complete opposite of what the university stands for. I mean, it was really, really interesting because it was almost like I was a spy. Like was involved in these classes and with these people, and I was the one person who didn't follow the rhetoric at all in my head. Like I didn't believe anything they were saying. It was just all lies. I mean, I can talk about some of the classes. I won't talk about all of them because, I mean, I don't want to bore you, but there are some classes that
Oh no,
were
like
startling.
this is your interview. I mean,
No,
you
I
but
know,
you
but
mentioned red flags. What exactly did you mean by that?
well, the first class that I took at major university like Oregon State University was racial inequality. Now, this class was interesting, I'll say that, um, but it was, now looking back, it was very deep rooted in social justice. I mean, with a title like that, of course,
Yeah,
but
of course.
it was also really obvious and really I passed it with flying colors because it was all just really easy. Like if you were on Tumblr, if you were, on those websites, DeviantArt or anything that has people that are predominantly liberal, of course, being indoctrinated into it, you'll pass the class really easily. So for me, it
Well,
was
sorry to cut you off, but
go ahead.
I'm going to take a wild stab here and say that white people weren't exactly held to a high standard in those classes.
No, no, we were blamed for everything. We were the cause of slavery. We were the ones who birthed slavery. We were the ones who created it, and we were the first ones, We didn't mention,
Well, because
Egypt.
yeah, in a liberal's mind, we created slavery. White Americans specifically created slavery. They never talk about how we ended a 5,000 year practice in 60 years, but well, don't let that get in the way of the rhetoric that white people are the original slavers.
Yeah, and no mention of Britain either, of Britain's take on slavery and how they were against it and how they have they had a was it a law or they had some sort of what's it called, piece of paper that said that if you were African American, you step on British soil, you are a free man. It started in the 1800s, I think, or something like that, because it was quite progressive for Britain, and it was us who still didn't have that. So America, I mean.
Yeah,
So
well, what they don't tell you about Civil War is that it was started over ending slavery. I mean, the
of
Democrats
course,
Democrats wanted to keep slavery, the Republicans didn't.
of course. I mean, that is one of the things I learned that was taught in history classes I've taken at universities as well, is that they did say anyone who says the Civil War was not about about slavery or race or tariffs, they don't know anything about the Civil War.
No,
I mean,
well, they don't, but because it was a majority white country, then they can just say, well, it was white people,
yeah,
because it's a weird thing that happens when it comes to race, because when you have Latinos, you have all these different versions of Latinos. When it comes to blacks, you have all these different versions of blacks. When it comes to whites, it's just white people. Like the
oh
Anglos
yeah.
disappear and the Aryans disappear. Like it's just white people. They're just one broad stroke.
Well, so what I mean, the class wasn't it didn't cause me to it didn't spark anything in me. It was just more the same propaganda that I've gotten through. I've gotten on Tumblr and on Facebook. It's just the same thing over and over again. So it didn't really affect me. Um, I even took a criminology class that I did not like because it actually had facts, that showed that crime was going down, and that that most of the people committing crimes in America are African American, and I thought that was just racist and
Yeah.
terrible. Just how could you say such a thing even though it was completely true? I mean,
Well,
80% isn't it, I think it's 80% or more. I think 80 to 90% of jails in the United States have African American males,
it's
African
a
American
very
males.
disproportionate amount of for being 13% of the population. It is very
Yes.
high.
Yeah, it's quite disproportional. I remember bringing up women because I was thinking, where are the women? And it's like, well, women don't commit as much crimes as men. And I was like, that's sexist. And thinking back, going, no, it's true.
Yeah. Well, so you've probably heard this as well over the past couple of years, but hate facts. The facts that are just ingrained with hatred and racism.
Oh yes, of course, facts are racist, of course.
Yeah, well, because Sheriff David Clark said this on Fox. He said, you're entitled to your own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
Very true. I do admire Sheriff Clark. I actually would have never found him were it not for you showing me him or some of my other conservative friends showing me him because nobody was talking about him as well. I mean, it's like he was not demonized, but he was ignored completely. Even though I tried reposting, I tried sharing Sheriff Clark everywhere, but I just got nothing because they don't
Mm.
want to hear it. They don't want to hear, what he has to say, which is of course
Well,
true.
because he's the invisible majority. He's like Peter Thiel from the Log Cabin Republicans. He
Oh
doesn't go
yeah.
with well, all gay people are Democrats and all black people are Democrats. Anything that goes against that is just it's not accepted.
What I don't understand is now I don't mean to take a path from away from
No, no,
education,
go
but
for it, man.
I do
That's what.
I oh
Sorry, go ahead.
I do want to figure out why I mean liberals, far left people, Democrats, they all for some reason have this weird mindset of stereotypes are I mean not this weird mindset, but they say like stereotypes are bad, you shouldn't label people, don't judge me, don't call people names. But at the same time, they'll call Sheriff Clark, they'll call Milo Yiannopoulos, they'll call Log Cabin Republicans Uncle Toms. And I'm thinking, that's a pretty bad thing. I was told many times in my life never to call someone an Uncle Tom. Like
Yeah.
that's an
Well,
offensive
it's
term. It's like calling someone a Sambo. I mean, it's not. I mean,
yeah. Are you do you know the concept of cognitive dissonance?
yes.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. It's see, there's really two forms of cognitive dissonance. There's the form that you recognize and understand, and you acknowledge that maybe I'm a little bit hypocritical in some of the views I hold, and then there's this overwhelming cognitive dissonance where any objection to their facts are just insanely pushed away. The one thing I've noticed, especially with liberals, is the people that preach tolerance and love just do not like other people's tolerance and love because it doesn't conform to their own.
Oh, I know. You should have seen the amount of people. I mean, you did. That when
Yeah, I
the
did.
free Milo incident was going on, how quickly people. just jumped on the bandwagon and started calling him Uncle Tom and calling him the worst person I've ever seen and how horrible he was and how um, they don't understand how there could even be gays at the Trump rally. They thought that was ridiculous and not true. They thought that it didn't exist. And I'm thinking, no, no, it exists. What doesn't exist is queers for Palestine. That does not
Yeah.
exist. That is something that it never existed, and I can't wrap my head around that even existing in the first. I mean, please tell me it
Well,
doesn't exist. I
it's
mean, my
because
God.
the DNC and specifically social justice warriors and liberals, they have this. I'm actually writing up a presentation in a few days to release. They have this idea that blacks and gays and women, they're these little children that need to be coddled at every single turn. They take away the culpability
Hmm.
of these minorities and say, well, we have to stand up for them because they physically can't do it. And this is where I eventually got my ideas about racial equality from, is that if you're saying that someone can't do something because of their race or their religion or their gender in any way, positive or negative, that's racist, that's sexist, that's bigoted. That is
Oh yeah.
legitimately um, saying that somebody can't do something because of they're not white. And it is mind-boggling. It goes back to this cognitive dissonance I've been talking about, is that they love to say that women are empowered and strong and can make all the choices in the world, and then in the same breath say they're oppressed by the radical patriarchy that just wants to keep women down.
That goes wrong. That goes with the same concept. I think you posted the picture, or I found it somewhere, probably on the meme site. But it said masculinity is, it had the the red button meme of who the
Ah, yeah.
president, and said like masculinity is so fragile. Yet the other one was like women are being held down by masculinity. I'm like, you have to pick one. Either masculinity is fragile or it's the oppressor and it's
Yeah.
holding you down.
Well,
I mean,
it's
what is it? Is it both, or is it? I mean, you can't.
well
You
in
can't
the
be
minds
both.
of liberals, it is both. It's the cognitive dissonance thing. Like moderate Islamic countries are completely fine, and they're our allies. But moderate Islamic countries throw gays off rooftops. You never hear
Oh,
about
I
that
know.
because it goes against their narrative.
Well, you know what? I don't. I mean, that's one of the things that I learned from Milo Yiannopoulos. You know, the great Milo, the dangerous faggot. That's not what I call him. That's his tour. I don't want to get hate mail. Um,
No, well, so
but
this is the thing. In another presentation I'm doing is that there are a lot worse things you can do than call somebody a name. I mean, you
oh
take the
yeah.
racial divide in America at the moment. Uh, Give it 6 months on the current path. The worst thing that could happen is being lynched from a tree by a bunch of white people. The
Yes.
least problematic thing would be called nigger on, social media.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's I mean, of course, it comes into tie with this identity politics and this uh, not oppression, but this words matter more than than anything else in the world. Like what you say to me really hurts me, and I can't just shrug it off, but I have to really take it to heart, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's the mindset that liberals and social justice warriors have taken to, where I mean, these
Because they've
labels.
never lost before. They do not.
That's true.
We live in this everyone gets a medal type of culture. Like you have to learn that sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you will fail, sometimes you won't do as good as you think you will. They have never had to experience that because they've always said whether you come first or last, it only matters that you're in the race.
Which, by the okay, so I have to say that I've noticed that as well, mostly growing up. You know, I'm a millennial, and my friends are millennials, most of them anyway, and it's this they all have the same mindset. It seems like that is that you deserve an award for trying, not winning. You deserve an award for even losing. I mean, when I was 4 and I played soccer, I scored for the other team, and I still got an award. I, I was still told I did a good job, but I just didn't know my sense of direction. I'm thinking, no, I was a loser. I lost. I lost, and I played against. I was treat. If this was a country, it'd be treason. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get. you don't get an award for that kind of thing. But I'm saying that example can be applied to, everything else that we've noticed so far
Well,
with
it's
millennials.
because this sort of it's one or the other. Like uh, to them, there is no moral ambiguity in the middle. Like you can't just do okay and be proud of it. Like I played a lot of football, soccer to you when I was a child, and one season we played, I set up nearly every single goal in a 9 month period, but I never scored a goal. And even though our main striker, who always scored the goals, was, he was the team champion, everyone would always say to me, like, this person wouldn't be able to do that without you. But in this world, it'd be like, well, I didn't
Oh.
score the goal, so I'm a loser.
Yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, I guess I can see that. I apologize. I was thinking back to the classes at Oregon State University. I just drew a blank. I apologize. Uh, just to go back to that for just a quick second. I know we were having a good conversation about millennials, but speaking of millennials, the people who I was in class with, at community college, it ranged from people being 18 to people being 65. I mean, you had every walk of life was at community college, and at Oregon State University, everyone was 18 to 24, and they were all living on campus. They all had MacBooks. They all, had their moms and mom dad's credit card, and all had BMWs and cars. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't belong here. I don't have
Well,
any of
it's
those things.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you think that humans are tribal by nature, Jordan?
Oh yes. Well, see, with that, which you asked me that, and I just trivialized it. I just put all these things that I did these characteristics I added to them, and I put them as an other versus myself. So that is tribalizing, really.
Exactly. And the natural thing to do is to try and adapt to the tribe. But in this case, the tribe is walking towards a cliff very slowly, and you're the one saying, no, we need to go back the other way. Like, there's a cliff there, we're all going to die.
Oh yeah, I mean, um, I I took a class in spring of last year. Actually, yeah, it was last year, and it was bizarre because it was taught by a sociology professor, but he didn't get his major in sociology, nor was that his specialty. He was into population, studying demographics. He was a demographer, and it was about sustainable resources. Uh, the class was just utter bullshit. He showed up 4 times, and we didn't learn
In a
anything, and he
how
got paid.
long of a
He got
period?
paid. Yeah, in that whole period, he showed up about 4 times, and we
Oh,
had to
I meant,
write.
like, how long was the actual
Oh,
course?
I apologize. It was 11 weeks. Um, and it was supposed to be an 11-week course, but and we mostly had to teach ourselves because I mean we had to write a paper on dams, like an engineer, like something an engineer student would do.
For
And
sociology.
yeah, which we didn't learn anything about dams at
Why?
all. It wasn't in the curriculum. It wasn't even in the book, which we couldn't buy because he put online, and it was not able to be accessed at the school. I'm like, what the hell? Like, that doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
it's to control information.
Oh,
Very, very basic idea is that if you want to control information from somebody, put it behind a wall and only give it out at certain times.
oh, I forgot. This is the same professor that had the ponytail, and he had a ponytail, wanted to grow hemp, uh, because marijuana was becoming legal. I mean, last year in June it came legal, so I mean, and last spring it was around April to May and June, so it was almost that time. So this is the same guy who did that and who talked about beer for an hour, who also uh, he has tenure. So he said to us just in the middle of one of the classes, he said, I give up. I don't like teaching. I never have liked teaching, and I just don't like doing this anymore. And
Well,
he's
that's
still not fired. He's still not fired. He's still there.
I remember reading something a while ago, when I was still in my very, hadn't taken the red pill yet, but was firmly against the blue pill, where I can't remember who it was that said it. They said they're more interested in keeping teachers in tenure in universities than they are actually teaching people.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, to jump off that, um, that is one of the things that Milo mentioned in one of his talks. He mentioned how, and this is true, for 30 years, we have been, our colleges have been run by liberals and only liberals with the same mindset over and over again, repeated, where there's no, while they claim there's diversity, it's more the same mindset, the same far left mindset. That's what I'm trying to say. And he says that it's been 30 years of that, and yet they also say that colleges are hotbeds of rape and
Yeah.
racism. So it it doesn't really make sense now, does it? Like,
Well, because they need to. It's the same with socialism. Even though that they're firmly in charge, you need more of it so it works better.
yes, yes, apparently. Oh, um, I apologize. Then I mean to speed things up. But or I mean it's not speed things up. But skip to a year later, because a couple months ago I was in a class that was my last sociology class, and it was about theory, sociological theory. Now, this, which I know sounds to people who are in sociology, it sounds like bullshit, and it was. It was bullshit, but I'll tell you why. Because we had to learn about Karl Marx, and
Yes. I was just
yeah,
about. I didn't want to jump in and interrupt you, but I was going to say you were learning Marxism, weren't you?
I was learning about Marxism. I was learning about Weber. I was learning about Durkheim and Bourdieu, and those are the four apparently sociological grandfathers. And it was really hard to sit in that class and listen to it because it didn't. The only one who made sense really was Weber, but he didn't even make that much sense anyway, half the time. So the Marx thing, it was just ridiculous because I even told people, I said, yeah, I'm learning about how good communism is in this class. Like, this is what this class is about. I'm teaching you why we need communism and why it's the next step after capitalism, which is what Marx said. Um, and if you said anything in the class like, I don't really agree with it, they would jump on you. The
Well,
other students, the teacher even would say, "Oh, you just don't understand. You didn't do the reading. You don't understand Marx's true feelings."
well, that goes into cultural Marxism as well. Is that if you don't have an argument, attack them personally till they shut up.
Well, I mean, that's when I took the red pill, because when I was seeing how Milo was talking about how liberal college campuses are, and then and then I take a class on how communism is good. It's
Well,
kind of,
it's like the
yeah,
Matrix. It, it,
yeah.
it truly is like the Matrix. That's why we call it the red pill. Is that you are in this fairyland where everything is
Oh yeah.
controlled by a certain mindset, and then when you wake up to it, you realize, wow, I've all I've been taught is actually wrong. Like the rhetoric here is, you know, it it's not only wrong, it's dangerous in some parts. And so of
Oh
course you
yeah.
go, well, I want people to understand this, I want to start posting things on social media so people can become aware of this. And then you start to realize the real spin and reach that the left has with
Hmm.
well, right now we're in the middle of the DNC leak with the emails, and I said this about 2 days ago. I said, watch them turn this into a witch hunt for who leaked the emails. And today I wake up and Huffington Post
Russia.
and Washington Post and
Russia
New York
apparently.
Times. Yeah, oh, Russia is trying to undermine democracy.
It doesn't
so,
make any sense
so,
whatsoever. Russia, like,
well, it's like, no, I don't care who leaked the emails. Let's talk about the fact that the emails were there. But,
yes.
I said it perfectly on my Facebook. They're like the angry girlfriend who you found out was cheating on you. She's not upset because she cheated on you. She's upset that you found out about it.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, what, and to go off of that, it's a bit troubling to see on Facebook. I mean, now that you mention it, and you mentioned the email leak, that none of my friends. I mean, I don't have a lot of friends on there. I've been deleted, and I've deleted quite quite a few
Oh,
people
trust me, I
recently.
watch a lot of that.
Yeah, yes. And sadly, I apologize, but isn't mentioned at all. Like, I have not seen anyone talk about the email leak except for the Bernie people who have actually read the article and be like, oh, it was actually against him. And then they go realize, oh, so Hillary isn't the person we should turn to. It's like, no, no. You're
Well,
just
because
now seeing it.
it was a right wing witch hunt. Remember, going after
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton from her time at Whitewater,
Yeah.
and 40 years into the future, they've all just been witch hunts. Like there's never been any factual information. It's just all these. It's like the patriarchy. There's a bunch of people. They sit in a room and they're like, "How can we go after Hillary Clinton today?"
Well, you know what's funny about that you mentioned that is that now this is gonna come like an odd statement, but I have a feeling that the things that you post and the things I post, I feel like people, specifically liberals and far leftists, they just don't read, even though they are the hipsters of. I mean, I live in Oregon. I've been to Portland. I know what hipsters are. It's like where they spawned. So, and they're obsessed with reading, and they're obsessed with saying like, "Have you read this? Have you read that?" I mean, there's a whole Portlandia sketch on this cultural capitalism, as we learned in sociology, of just people consuming reading materials. And as much as that is a part of liberalism, apparently, they don't read. They don't read like the Milo Yiannopoulos, the Ghostbusters review. It was long. I admit it was it was long, but I read the whole thing and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And the things that you and I post and your friends post and some of my friends post, the reactions that you get from far leftists usually means that they haven't done their homework and they haven't read what you actually said at all. I mean, that's
Well,
just what I'm
to
getting
jump
at
in
with
real
some of this.
quick, I don't know if you've seen the meme. It's like, I fucking love science, and then is handed a peer-reviewed journal. It's like, oh no, no, no. I mean, misattributed quotes over CGI texts. That's what it essentially is. It's like the Melania Trump speech. Like, oh my god,
Yes.
what a non-issue to
Oh, I know.
you know, 16 minutes of her speech and 20 seconds was spun for 3 days. And I
It's still
doubt,
going.
yeah, it's still going. And I
And
highly doubt that many liberals have actually sat down and watched all 16 minutes of that speech.
oh, I doubt it. I mean, I was watching now. Don't take me as a glutton for punishment, even though I'm gonna sound like it. But I
Trust
was
me,
wa-
man, when you're on this side of the fence, we are all gluttons for punishment all the time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I was gonna say, it was like we're asking for it. But we were excuse me, I was watching Real Time with Bill Maher, and I've been watching his show for about 3 to 4 years now, and uh, he isn't exactly the most far left, as in he has a mixture of both views, but as it seems, he is of course against Trump because I mean he's suing him. Trump is suing him, so of course he's against anything he has to say. To the point where the whole show, I was watching it. There was 3 episodes because they were covering the DNC first and the 20th, and then they had a show on Friday. Uh, and the whole time it was talking about Trump and how his rhetoric is awful and how he's a horrible person and how he's bigoted and sexist, but they never talked about the real issues. They never talked about what he actually said. I mean, they mentioned the speech. I mean, did you see that speech? I mean, did you listen to that speech he made after, was it the second day of the DNC? It was his acceptance of the nomination
Oh,
speech.
the actual
Oh,
nomination speech.
it was phenomenal.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
I know
that went for nearly an hour and a half. Like that, it was a brilliant speech.
well, I loved it, and you know what? The only thing they said about it, which was like, really, you're taking this out of the speech, was they said it was dystopian and it was pessimistic and it was very dark. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
really? Was it?
Well, it was like his APAC speech where he that was a brilliant foreign policy speech as well. Like with
Oh yeah.
APAC, and they just ignored it. Like there wasn't anything that could they could, there was no smoking gun, so to speak of. So they used an opinion piece as their facts. So they said that, well, Trump paints a very dark, they love that word now. Trump paints a very dark
Well,
picture of the
look
world.
who they put in office.
Exactly. Well, Obama just come out and said the world is more peaceful than it's ever been. And literally
Um,
2 hours later, there was a terrorist attack.
oh yeah, you keep on posting that meme of just how many days of Europe without a terrorist attack is zero, and you keep on posting it, and I'm thinking, is he being funny? No, like
No,
everyone's
I'm
hitting every
actually
day.
like, see, people come to me and they expect a bit of, well, especially my friends on my social media, my private social media, they expect a bit of fun, but I'm getting to the
Yeah.
point now where I'm posting it in anger.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see why, because it won't stop happening over and over again, and people, I mean I never even imagined that people would say, they just don't care at all, like about what happened in France. I mean, that happened multiple times in Germany. I mean, people on Facebook don't care at all, but they do care about the Trump speech, though. They do care about,
Yeah.
And they do care about Michelle Obama's speech. I mean, that's what's on today. Is everyone talking about how great Michelle Obama is and how great she would be for president? Even though I'm thinking, okay, yeah, let's have another Caitlyn Jenner, only black as a president. That would be great.
Well, that's because it goes against the I never believed in this until a few years ago, but it literally goes against the liberal agenda.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Because I remember watching, I don't know if you remember it, during the quote unquote refugee crisis where they were pouring into Italy.
Oh
There
yeah,
was
I
that
saw that story
4-year-old
too.
Syrian kid that was drowned on the beach. And the media took that and they ran it
They
for
ran with it.
weeks.
Yes, I remember seeing it.
And then the Nice attack happened, where a Tunisian immigrant ran down 84 people, and there was almost the exact same picture of a child, lying underneath a body bag, and it just disappeared. It didn't make the news, and I
No.
tried to think to myself. I said, well, why is the Syrian refugee child bigger news than the child trying to celebrate her national day? And it dawned on me as that white people don't matter, even when they're dead.
Oh, not in the eyes of the media, apparently.
No,
Um,
well, in the eyes of the media, because like you just said when you took your course, is that we're the enemy. Like white people are the enemy, and these are the same people who say that not all Muslims are terrorists, but apparently all gun owners are, and all white people are.
oh yeah, yeah, I saw that. Someone posted. I don't even know I'm friends with these people, but they posted about the new Black Panther movement, of how wonderful it is and how great it is, and they had guns, and in the picture, the new Black Panthers had like Uzis, and or excuse me, that's not the right term for the gun, but it looked like a machine gun, but um, they were saying this is fantastic and how they're not terrorists. But the people at the Trump rally who have open carry, who have licenses, they are the terrorists. I'm thinking that doesn't really make sense now, does it? Not to me,
All
at
right,
least.
so what did I say to you about cognitive dissonance at the start of the show?
There you go. Yes, I was gonna say, it was like it repeats. Oh, I wanted to bring up, because you mentioned white people are the enemy. So not a year later, this is back in 2015, in fall term, so 11 weeks of class. I took a class on racial inequality in education. Um,
God.
Now I know, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, um, clearly, but the class had, I'm not kidding you, 11 social justice warriors in it, and at least 10 more people that were in the class were in football and sports, and they were African American, and one was Tongan, and two were white. Um, so it was a very diverse group, and by diverse I mean you had social justice warriors and you had people playing American football, athletes. Um, so the issues in the class about education, I tell you, I don't even remember what we accomplished, because the rhetoric was that white people are terrible, affirmative action is good, and that sports sports needs more money. There need to be more money. There needs to be more money in sports because they suffer. The college football players, they suffer. With the new gyms and always having to play, and the fame. It's just too much.
Well, I'm gonna give you one chance to guess this. What do you think you actually accomplished in that class?
Nothing. That's what I'm saying.
Nope,
What I
nope.
did.
You accomplished something. Just it's pretty pervasive. It's that white people are bad.
Well, yes, that is the mindset that I got, because every time we mentioned how horrible the education system was, it all went back to systematic racism, and how white people are the problem, and how they're keeping down the black man, and how uh, poor black children are in poor black neighborhoods, and they go to predominantly black schools, which are poor, and it's all due to the fact that, well, that they exist, that they're there. It's all due to that.
Well, of
And
course, because if you have to examine problems within the black community, well, that's racist. Stefan
yeah,
Molyneux said it best. He said, if it wasn't for all that systemic racism in America, just imagine how far Barack Obama could have gotten.
oh yes, imagine how Oprah, how she could have gotten, or
Yeah, like
the our love Al Sharpton.
well,
I
if
mean,
it wasn't for the overwhelming white majority in basketball, black men could go everywhere in that sport. It's it's
like they aren't
it's
already.
yeah, it's this these individual like success stories don't matter because well, as you've probably guessed, the story is what counts with them. So, Barack
Yes.
Obama, first black president, no racial systemic racist, sorry, systemic racism everywhere. Loretta Lynch, black attorney general, no systemic racism everywhere. Black people being some of the highest paid people in the world. Well, I'm not going to say Kanye West, he's broke, but yeah.
Yes. Oh, he is.
Oprah, you brought up a great example. Oprah, multimillionaire, has her own TV show, TV channel, sorry, which is going down the tubes. But
Oh yeah.
these things don't matter because there's still poor black people, and the only reason they're poor is because of white people. Like that's the it's like Palestine. If you're raised from the time you're a child and your parents keep telling you that, hey, Jews are the problem, and you get to the age of 18, what do you think you're going to do exactly?
Oh yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's one of those situations where you just have to. I mean, when you grow up with that mindset, I mean, I can see why, after being told this rhetoric over and over again, why, I mean, social justice warriors have such a following, and why Islam. I mean, I tell you, I've I I took the red pill, of course, and I'm on the Trump train, as most people who follow my Facebook know. Um, I'm well aboard. But one thing that really got my ticket stamped and got me on that train was seeing how Islam, how Muslim people respond to gay people, women, and Jews, because
But remember, that's only a minority, Jordan.
well, oh well, I just mean, I mean, when I address this question, people, they don't know how to handle it, because they can say that, Muslims are fine with gay people. Okay, whatever. We'll ignore Saudi Arabia and the 11 other countries that
No, no.
allow
So
LGBTQ.
when you start to say let's ignore facts, that's when you know you've won the argument. Like if
Oh,
you have
oh,
to
of
ignore
course.
facts to further the discussion with them, you've already won.
No, no. I mean, what I mean by is, that, liberals have an excuse for everything. So they say, oh no, not all Muslims believe that gay people are bad. It's like, okay, fine. If you want to believe that, that's fine. What women? Well, they have a little bit harder time with that, because you talk about women's rights, and they they
Well,
clam up.
it's the moral high ground because that's what liberals and social justice warriors love to have. So all you have to do when they say that they support Islam in entirety is just say, well, why do you hate women and gays so much?
Why do
And
you hate Jews so much?
yeah, just watch them short circuit and spaz out like in front of you, and just you'll grab some popcorn and get to watch the show because yeah, like I said, facts. They're facts. They're evidence. Like you can't dispute facts. But when you're having an argument of opinions and you introduce facts, well, that's it. How normal people act is that when two people have an opinion, you introduce facts into it, and one person admits they're wrong.
Mhm.
But
Well, yeah.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, um, that I guess I'm biased. I should say now that I'm biased to talking about Judaism because I took a history class I took two history classes actually this last term, my last term at university about the Holocaust. And I know, why would I do that to myself? Take two classes about the Holocaust. I mean, overwhelming sadness. But the one class was it taught me about the amount of Jew hatred that occurred, you know, for a long, long time, and all up to the blood libel and all the stereotypes that Jews have horns, and then all these weird stereotypes that make no sense whatsoever, of course, and up to the Holocaust. And it was really interesting because you know nobody in that class was a social justice warrior, and no and it was popular, but it was a required class, and for people to continue forward with a sociology degree, or it was one of the classes you could have taken. You didn't have to take it, but I chose to take it, and it was fascinating because when the subject of Islam came up with the Holocaust, it was a bit interesting to hear the response of what the teacher said, because he was very Jewish. I mean, my God, Copperman was his last name. I'm like, oh whoa.
I'm
So
gonna have to add parentheses around that now.
yeah, Copperman, yes. He mentioned how I didn't know this whatsoever. I guess I was just ignorant of this. But that when the Holocaust was happening, Iran, um, that there was not, can't think of the name. It wasn't. It's a different name for president or a different name for leader, but the
The
leader
Tsar.
at the time, maybe it might have been that, in Iran, actually applauded Hitler for what he did, and actually wished he could have done it to his country, because he said that there were too many Jews in Iran at the time. And I asked him, I said, what did Islam do for Judaism or the Jewish people in the Holocaust? And he said, absolutely nothing. They actually in some parts encouraged it, and in some parts they did nothing, which is just as bad as encouraging it, in my opinion, because doing nothing while this was going on, I mean, you're just as guilty as the German people. But I don't mean to make this a Jewish history class, but that was the first time I've ever heard, you know, that um, a professor would say something about Islam like that, because everyone else, I mean, in that education class, in other classes in sociology, one time I mentioned Islam, they it's infallible, it's fine, everyone's great, it's a fantastic religion, it's a religion of peace. So that was the one person who actually admitted to there being fault in Islam at one time in
Well, see,
history.
uh, sorry to cut you off, but the topic of the show has been facts mainly, and when you have to deal
Exactly.
with facts, you can't spin them. Like you can't, like saying that uh, Germans were Nazis in 1944 is just a fact. Like, and
Yeah.
Jewish history is fraught with Islam because if you want to pick up the most damning thing against Islam, it's called a Quran. And
Yes. Well, you just reread it to them. I mean,
yeah, well, you read the Quran and you see a systematic hatred of Jews.
yes.
So when you are, and you know, I'm going to be, I'm a Mossad agent or I'm shilling for Israel. But the thing with the Jews is that while they are mainly white, they're exempt from it because they're not Christianity, especially in liberal campuses.
Yes. That well, we actually to think to talk about that. We did have in that one race class I was in, we talked about the other race, the other category parentheses, and that other category encompassed Jews and encompassed Koreans, um, specifically. And I wanted to know what the hell, like that doesn't make any sense. Like why are they in other category? And my professor said it's because they're white, but they're also a minority, or they're lighter skinned, but they're also a minority. So they suffer from positives and negatives, which to me, I was thinking, isn't that just, doesn't everybody suffer from positives and
Well,
negatives? Like,
it's like I said to you earlier, is that white people are just white people. Like, there's no subspecies of our skin. Like, we're all just white people from one place. We don't live in different parts of the world. Like,
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that also got me on the conservative mindset was when I was on Tumblr and I was told multiple times, and even in university, I was told that white people have no culture. White people have no culture. White people have
I
no
love
taste.
that.
White people have no flavor. Like when they're talking about like food, they're saying, "Oh, this mayonnaise is spicy." I'm thinking,
Yeah.
what? Like,
Well,
what are you talking about?
do you want to know the real reason why that meme persists, Jordan?
Why?
Is because everything that is white culture is racist.
Of course. Oh, of course it is. I mean, I mean, even what? Okay, so let me calm down for a second because I want to
No,
ask you
go for
something.
it, man. See, that's the thing. I'm not going to give you shit about being emotional. If you're passionate about something, like we can obviously distinguish between an emotional pull and factual emotional pull.
Yes. Um, of course, but what I was getting at is it just boggles my mind how people, I mean, how people of color, as they like to be called, would say that white people are just white people, that they have no culture. When I'm thinking to myself, haven't, do you not know what Europe is? Do
Well,
you
it's
not
because
know anything about Europe? Because that's, I mean, do you not know Italy? Do you not enjoy spaghetti?
because
Do you
remember
not
they're
enjoy
not white.
art? Do you
They're
not
they're,
enjoy
they're
the
tanned
English language?
Italians.
I mean, are you talking about the Sicilians?
Yeah, yeah. But
Because, oh yeah, that was one thing I learned in criminology was, yeah,
I think you might be
sorry.
lagging a little bit. But yeah, the thing, but the thing with white culture is that I don't really care that much about white culture. It's the same with racial whatever. Add whatever word you want onto that. Is that liberals want to bring it up to us, and it's like, well, if you want to bring it up to us, obviously we're going to have an opinion about it, and obviously we're going to push back on it. So, white culture started thousands of years ago. And what have we learned about white culture from thousands of years ago is that it was all bad. Like, you know,
Apparently.
like Christianity somehow it was just always white people. Like, it didn't start in the Middle East. Like, no, there were white people in the Middle East. Like,
Oh, yeah. Jesus was white, you know.
yeah, that's it. Like, a Hasidic Jew born 2,000 years ago in the Middle East was obviously a white man. But that's the thing. We do adopt other cultures through cultural diversity, and that's real cultural diversity. I live in one of the most multicultural places in the world, in Australia, and it wouldn't exist without white colonialism. And I'm sure you've heard this: is that colonialism was a terrible thing. Like, we should have never done it. We should have all just stayed on our little islands everywhere.
Oh, yes, that was one of the big things that was taught in college.
Well, of course it is, because yeah, that's the thing. Like, there are many issues that I really don't care about, and I won't bring up if I can get away with it. But it's this liberal mindset that seems to be everywhere now, is that it's got to be a problem. Like, the revolution's over, but they just won't stop fighting. Like, when the rebels have won, they go home. They don't keep fighting for no reason. And it's the same with third wave feminism. Like, Milo is a lot better at this subject than I am, but once you notice that, hey, we've got everything, the issues become more trivial. And now it's mansplaining and manspreading and trigger warnings and whatever shit they want to
Yes.
come up with. And it's the same with white culture. I don't want to talk about white culture. Like, I don't identify as a part of the white race. I'm just a person. Like, I have
Yeah.
I have free will over myself. I'm an individual. Like, I like to do things for myself, by myself. But if you keep lumping us in there with each other, of course there is going to be a collective backlash. And I think you're starting to see that, especially with the Trump phenomenon.
See, yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, that is one of the things that um fits in your point perfectly, because as much as social justice warriors and far leftist Democrats, actually just Democrats in general, really, uh, want to point out, is that Trump supporters are atheist fedora wearing My Little Pony bronies, that they all lump Trump supporters in that category, but it isn't true. When you see African Americans for Trump, when you see Latinos for Trump, when you see gays for Trump, when you see people who don't fit that narrative at all. I mean, the most that they could say is that people who were for Rand Paul might fit that mindset, but not that doesn't fit with Donald Trump anymore. That doesn't fit with his
Well, I said
audience at
this to
all.
a friend the other day when we were out somewhere. I've seen more diversity and more tolerance and acceptance in the quote unquote far right than I've ever seen with liberals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that Milo said. Milo said it was harder. Well, I mean, he said it was harder for him to come out as a Republican than it was to be gay, to come out as gay, which I mean is true. I mean, when people just vilify the far right and conservatism and republicanism, I mean, they just demonize it so much, and it's odd to think about, because I mean, I guess there's still so okay, so let me just bring this up. So, because I wanted to mention it in a Facebook post, but it's probably too long to mention it in Facebook post anyway, but I'll mention it here. So, the reason why I got into the far left, I got myself so entrenched in liberalism because of Fox News, and because of this overly religious Christian zealotry that seemed to permeate through Fox News and through the culture at the time, it seemed like anyway. But I would say that that mindset, that Fox News slash Christian Zionist type of movement is gone. I mean, the average Fox viewer is what, like 77, the viewer, the average viewer. So they're old. That their mindset, that traditional Republican base, as some people call it, is no longer really alive. I mean, because they were the same people who were, against gay people, and again, I mean, not against gay people, but they were against gay marriage, and they were against a lot of things I was very passionate about at the time. So that's why, of course, I
Yeah.
rallied against it. But main point is that that stereotype that conservatives and Republicans are bigots and racist and sexist, it doesn't apply anymore. It's gone.
Well, it's like they love to say all conservatives have a low IQ, but they can never explain Japan. Like there's there's you
I knew
know
you were gonna bring up Japan. I mean, because you were talking about um, other countries, and I was thinking the that is one of the things that I wanted to discuss, was Japan and Korea. Well, mostly Japan, um, because I mean, you already know about this, that Japan has like what, like maybe one Muslim in the the whole nation. I mean, it
I think it might be more than one, but it's a very very small number.
oh, it's so tiny, and I was
But
thinking
see, if you
like,
try to correlate that with the fact that there's no Muslim terrorist attacks in Japan, you're just a racist.
oh, of course, of course. I mean, but what I was getting at is that you know, for a while I thought, because I took a Japanese culture class, and she did not mention um, religion currently, and because it was about history from the 1200s to uh, the 1800s of Japan, which is a huge amount of history to cover. But it was really interesting because they the Japanese culture, you know, their dominant religion is Shinto and Buddhism. It's been like that for hundreds of years, and it's still dominant. It's still what's dominant there, and they don't let Islam in. They barely even let Christianity in. I mean, I know there's like churches. I know there's some people who have crosses on their graves, but it still isn't predominant there. The
Well,
Western religion.
you see, with well, in the liberal mindset, that country must be on the brink of collapsing because they don't have diversity there. Like it must be like one step away from just imploding on itself because they don't import thousands upon thousands of people every single year.
Well,
And it's just
speaking
not
of
true.
that,
I mean, people say, especially the left, say that traditionalism is a bad thing, but I don't
yes.
exactly see that country, destroying itself or destroying anybody else in the near future.
Well, talk about a country that has said "fuck you" to globalism. I mean, we see it with what happened with Brexit, and I applaud Britain for finally gaining a few brain cells for getting out of the EU. But that's this is the type of thing that we need in Europe, and what we need in America is stricter immigration, and that's what Japan has been. Japan's been thriving because of their immigration, of how strict it is. I mean, it's a fantastic country. I wish I could go there, but I wish I could live there. But again, it's kind of because it's so harsh on their immigration, it's almost like a club, like gotta
Well,
have a certain thing.
it's a club that everyone in the country is invited to, and it's called nationalism.
But yes, yes.
But remember, nationalism is a bad thing because of Hitler and all that. Like you forget about the socialism side, and it's all nationalism. It's all terrible. But
Wasn't that in the name? National wasn't that in the Nazi abbreviation, socialism?
well, it was National Socialism. I mean,
Yeah.
like but yeah, they'll never talk about the socialism side because that worked perfectly. Like it was just the nationalism that took over the socialism.
Oh yeah, I
But
mean, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, sorry, I was just looking at the time. We've been talking for a while now. I
I
think I might just
apologize.
wrap this up so we don't turn it into 3 hours. But Jordan, you're welcome back anytime. I mean, we can definitely have another discussion. I mean, we could probably talk for hours on this. But no, thank you for coming on the show. You gave me a deeper insight into what it actually is to be in a college in America. Well, a liberal college in America. So I want to thank everybody for listening. If you'd like to find more, you can visit my channel on YouTube or my Facebook page at Daniel J. Watson. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thank you for listening.